Okay, guys, right. Sentence structure is a really important part of OET writing and just language in general, a really important part. In order to do it, we need to understand a few different things, and I'll go through what they are at the beginning. Why is it important? It's important because it helps you to write well. It helps you to speak better. But it's also really, really useful in another part of the exam. What other part do you think it's useful in, guys?
Reading.
Reading, for sure. If you're thinking to yourself, why don't I have enough time in reading part C or reading part A? Probably something to do with your grammar, okay? But reading part C, for sure, when you look at those paragraphs sometimes and you read it, do you ever have the feeling when you read it, you read about 3 or 4 sentences and you just think to yourself, I don't remember any of that. Does that ever happen to you with reading part C?
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
Sometimes, to be honest, that happens in my own language. You know, if I'm tired and I'm reading a book, I just think, I've just read that whole page. I can't really remember anything. I was probably thinking about something else. And then the next day when you pick the book up and you try and find what you were reading, you go back and you think, oh, I can't remember that bit. And then you carry on reading and you think, I read this bit. Oh, you have to go back. So it's really, really useful in terms of saving time, because when you've got a sentence structure thing combined, or an understanding of sentence structure combined with subject verb, when you put those two things together, I think that it's like opening the curtains on the window of understanding. You just say, oh, now I get it. I get it faster. Now I can understand quickly. And if you can understand quickly and you can understand accurately, it means you can match your options from your multiple choice and say, well, that one just isn't true, because you understand what both sentences say. So let's go through, let's get started. Here it is, if I could go back up. Okay, so let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so what we have to be able to understand today is these 3 things. It's what we're going to talk about: the relationship between ideas, what clauses are, the difference between verb clauses and noun clauses. And when we look at the noun clauses, we're also going to look at the verb to be. We're going to do all of that today and hopefully introduce causes. Okay, this week we'll look at causes, results, contrast, addition, and then we'll do a review of it at the end of the week. Next week, we'll have a look at relative clauses and participle clauses. So relationships between ideas. Let's look at this first. Relationships between ideas. Now, why am I asking about relationships between ideas? Well, the reason why is because when we speak, or we write, or we listen, or we read, we're always taking in ideas, aren't we? We're taking in ideas. So if you look at this first one here, how many ideas are there? Just don't say anything yet. Is John an idea?
No.
No.
Really an idea, John. It's just a person, isn't it? A person's not an idea that you had, unless you're writing a novel. Then they could be an idea. But John is just a person. Live near the coast. No,
An idea. It's not
that's an idea, isn't it? If you put those together, John lives near the coast. That's an idea.
No.
Yeah, it is. John lives near the coast. You've got a subject, you've got a verb, you've got a preposition, you've got a noun. I'm telling you, John lives near the coast. For me, I would call that an idea. Can you tell me anything else about John?
Yeah.
John loves
Fishing.
John loves fishing. There's another idea.
Any
Now,
verb can be idea.
I don't think we need the verb to be here.
No, any verb. No, I'm asking. Any verb can be an idea. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good question. If you've got a subject and a verb, that's an idea for me. You are saying something which happened, happens, or will happen. That's an idea. That's what I count as an idea. That's not a grammatical explanation of what an idea is, but for me, it makes sentence structure easier if we think about things this way. So, does John love fishing because he lives near the coast?
No.
Does John live near the coast because he loves fishing?
No.
Maybe.
Possible.
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 Yeah.
Maybe he
We
moved to
don't
the
know.
coast
Yeah.
because he loves fishing. We don't know for sure. So what could we do? We could say John loves fishing and he lives near the coast. Okay, so we could do a bit of addition, couldn't we? Or we could say John lives near the coast. Oops, not coast, because he loves fishing.
Or
If
John
you-
who loves fishing lives near the coast.
Oh, you could give me a relative clause. Yes, Virginia, but not until next Monday. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks though. Okay, what we could say is, we could say this. Just think about it, just stretch your mind. John loves fishing because he lives near the coast. Just stretch your mind and just think about it. Just imagine he didn't love fishing and then he moved to the coast. And when he moved to the coast, he realized he started to do it and now he loves it. So it is possible. It is possible for that to happen. So what we're talking about here is the relationships. You are the person who decides. You are the person who decides. Now, sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so if you connect it one way or the other, let's look at this one. Mrs. Johnson, mobility issues. What would the verb be?
Has.
Has. Yeah. So here's our idea. Mrs. Johnson has mobility issues.
Due to fall last week.
Due to, I like that. Yeah, due to a fall last week.
Fall.
Okay, that will work. That's good. Okay, so a fall. We could put fall in the past in the verb, couldn't we? She fell last week.
Yeah.
Mrs. Johnson fell last week. And as a result, she has mobility. Oh, we don't even need to put has, she. And as a result, has mobility issues. Does that make sense? Both of those sentences.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're good, aren't they? Okay. So if we just analyze what we've got here, we've got and, we've got because, we've got due to, and we've got
As a result.
and as a result. Yeah, this is all together. Now, why am I doing this? Sarah, do you have a question?
Morning, Paul.
Hi.
I like to make a sentence like result in.
Well, we'll look at that later. That's result language. Okay.
Okay.
This is just an introduction to these. So
Okay, thank you.
these words in the middle, what are they called, guys?
Conjunction.
Conjunctions. Exactly. We're calling those conjunctions. Then they're not the only way to connect ideas together. You know, relative clauses are good, participle clauses are good, but these are conjunctions. So we've got an idea here. There's idea one. Here's idea two. In this case, I'm going to put both of them yellow because one doesn't cause the other one. They're just neutral. Now I'm going to say this is the result. John lives near the coast. Why does he live near the coast? Well, he lives near the coast because he loves fishing. Yeah. So green is going to be our cause. Blue is going to be our result. In this case, John loves fishing. Well, now this one is the result. And this one's the cause. Okay. So with the word because, you always have the result first and the cause second. Hi, Subi, do you have a question?
Yeah, Paul, I want to know, just like this sentence, can we say Mrs. John had a fall last week?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But then what you're doing is you're treating this as a noun, aren't you?
Yeah.
A fall. Yeah, that's fine. So in this one, Mrs. Johnson has mobility issues. Is that a result or a cause?
Result.
Result.
It's a result, isn't it? Yeah.
Cause.
Yeah, the cause is the fall, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And Mrs. John fell last week, or Mrs. Johnson fell last week. That's a cause, isn't it?
Cause.
Yeah. Now we've got the cause first and we've got the result second. So what we're going to explore this week is how these things switch around. Okay. They don't always follow the same order. They've got different kinds of clauses that follow them as well, which is really useful for us to know. But let's get back to what I wanted to say before. You are the ones who decide the relationship, because in OET writing, you just get case notes. You are the ones who decide to add those case notes together. What if I said this to you? Would it be possible for me to say this? Mrs. Johnson fell over last week because she has mobility issues.
No.
Why not? It could
Yeah,
be.
we can say it.
Yeah, we can say that.
We
That's
can
possible,
say
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is absolutely possible. There's no problem with that. I can switch these around because in this situation, if
It's
you have
different meaning.
mobility issues, you are more likely to fall over.
Yes.
But also, if you fall over, it can cause mobility issues. So
Yeah.
it works
Yeah.
both ways here. But what about this one? I didn't have an umbrella because I got wet.
Mm,
What do you
no.
think about that one?
No.
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 as a result.
No.
Doesn't feel right at all, does it?
Yeah, I got wet because I didn't have umbrella.
No.
Exactly. Now, everyone knows here, of course, that makes sense. Of course, this is a stupid sentence. Everyone knows that because you always put the result first and you put the cause second with because. And if you say it that way round, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's not logical in your brain. So you choose the relationships. And if you get your clauses mixed up, if you use the wrong linker, the wrong conjunction, if you don't order it in the right way, you can make mistakes which are illogical and confuse the reader. So we really shouldn't get these things mixed up. And what we will see is the word result is one that can cause confusion when we talk about these conjunctions. So there's the first thing. How about Sarah loved dancing, brother hate?
Sarah loves dancing while her brother hates it.
What was that word in the middle?
But
While.
While.
Ah.
Okay, while. Interesting. While can mean a couple of things, can't it? It can be a conjunction of contrast, or it can be at the same time. So I love dancing at the same time as my brother hates it. So it can be a bit confusing. I don't really use while much, but would be okay. However, it's contrast, isn't it? But
Although,
a really
yeah.
simple one would be Sarah loves dancing, but
Her brother hates
what?
it.
It. Don't forget that pronoun. When we go into multiple clause sentences, which is what we're doing now, you have to become the master of pronouns, because you don't want to say dancing here, do you? Again. No, you don't want to keep doing that. Sounds repetitive. Sarah loves dancing, but her brother hates dancing. I don't need to say dancing again. So pronouns become really, really important when you do multiple clause sentences. Okay, so but goes here. Now these are a contrast. So let's do yellow and we'll do red as our contrast clause. Okay, so we've introduced here addition. We've introduced causes, we've introduced results, and we've introduced contrast. And by the end of this week, hopefully you guys are going to be really good at recognizing when to use them, and you'll be able to do it in at least 3 or 4 ways for each one. That's the idea of this week, to teach exactly how to do it, and then to give you the variety of how to use different linkers, different contrast, different conjunctions. Okay, clauses. Clauses. Okay, let's put this down here. Don't get ahead of ourselves on the exercises yet. Clauses, okay, they are sections of sentences which contain an idea. So I call it an idea because it's not always a verb. Okay, it could be a noun. So I call it an idea. So see above for what I think an idea is. Her brother hates it. That's an idea. Mrs. Johnson fell over last week. That's an idea. A fall last week. In this case, it's an idea. Okay, but this conjunction causes something different to happen. Okay, so clauses are sections of sentences which contain an idea. You can have multiple clause sentences. Let's write a sentence. I'm going to write a really, really long sentence. My brother, who lives in Switzerland and owns 4 cars, is a handsome and intelligent man because I taught him everything he knows. Okay, I've just made that sentence up off the top of my head. So, okay, I've got my brother is a handsome and intelligent man. That's one clause. I've got a relative clause in the middle, and I've got because here, so I've got another clause there. Okay, so in that sentence, I've got 3 clauses. So let's just put it. My brother is a handsome and intelligent man. That's one clause. This one is a relative clause in the middle. Let's put that in yellow. And then I've got, I taught him everything he knows. There's another idea that can be in blue. So if we think about the things that enabled us to add, we've got a relative pronoun here, and we've got because, a conjunction there. Emre, have you got a question?
Good morning, sir. I want to ask if we can use a clause in a clause, like who
Yes.
lives in Switzerland, which is a country in Europe.
Yeah.
Owns 4 cars. Is a handsome, blah, blah.
What you generally do is something like this. Okay, so let's say we took this sentence and we just, you would generally say, you would leave out the relative pronoun. So my brother who lives in Switzerland, a country in Europe. Okay, who lives in Switzerland, a country in Europe, owns 4 cars, and then you'd have to say and. So you'd be moving it around like that. It does get complex. It's all about the commas, But this is a multi-clause sentence. We've got an infinite variety ahead of us. If I teach you, or if you learn in these classes, 4 result phrases, 4 cause phrases, 4 contrast phrases, 4 addition phrases, and then you also learn relative clauses and participle clauses, you have just an infinite ability to phrase things. And if you practice that, it means that when you come to the exam, it will just be like that. Okay, it'll be really, really easy for you to do. Okay, so.
Paul,
Yes.
sorry. You know, in part C, when I'm reading, I understand that these 3 sentences, sometimes I found these 4 sentences like this. Can you show me my example, like brother is a handsome man, intelligent man. Another here, 4 sentence, how we can connect it? Not connect, understand like this.
Okay, so anybody that's been in my reading part C ones when we do practice would hear me. If I read this, this is what happens in my brain. My brother is a handsome, intelligent man. Because I know that this is just a relative clause, and it's just who knows, maybe it could be an important part of information. But what I want to get to is what happens in this sentence. What's the point of this sentence? The point of this sentence is the main clause. My brother is a handsome and intelligent man. That's what I want to know. And if I see because, I think, well, this is useful as well, because now it's telling me why. So the question would say something like this: the writer suggests, and then you'd have option A, Switzerland makes people happy. Oh, sorry, makes people intelligent. Or it might say B, the writer suggests his brother owns enough cars. C could be something like that he is handsome and intelligent. Or it could be D, he taught his brother at school. Okay, what do you think the answer is?
C.
Yeah, because it's all about suggests, isn't it? So what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to work out, well, how do I get to the point of this sentence? The way you get to the point of this sentence is by thinking, what is the actual reason for writing it? The reason for writing it, you can break down into two clauses. You just get this bit away. This bit's just not important. It's gone. My brother is a handsome and intelligent man. Okay. Now, why? If somebody's got because in the middle, you should be thinking, I want to know why. I've got to finish this sentence to try and work it out. I taught him everything he knows. So if he is handsome and intelligent and I taught him it, then that suggests that I am also handsome and intelligent. Okay, and you can also use elimination, even though it mentions intelligence and Switzerland. It doesn't say that it's Switzerland that does that. In fact, it's him who does it. Even though he does own 4 cars, you might think that's enough cars, but it's not. And it says nothing about school, even though it does mention he taught his brother. So for me, that's a really clear example of how it works. You've got to get to the point of a sentence. And by getting to the point, to get to the point of the sentence, you've got to be able to recognize the ideas and how those ideas are connected. Rita, have you got a question?
Yeah, hi, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would you mind again showing like relating this kind of situation to the research-related work, like research suggested that or something like that?
Well, we're going to look at causes now.
Okay.
And we'll look at results
Same
tomorrow.
like this with the research, like research work.
Research.
Yes.
Well, there are loads of sentences like that in part C. We can look at that later on.
Okay.
Okay, in the 3 p.m. classes. Prinkle, have you got a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Prinkle.
Can we say my brother who lives in Switzerland owns 4 cars, comma, which are very expensive?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the writing, I just wrote same way. I am writing regarding dash who presented our practice for removal of IUD, which are removed unsuccessfully.
Well, that's not a great sentence, but there's nothing wrong with this, the basic structure, which
Okay.
was, which you can do a relative clause, but not in that case, because you can't say which was removed unsuccessfully, because that's not what happened. It wasn't removed. So, which could not be located is probably what you'd say. Yeah. So,
thank you.
Let's go now and look at verb clauses, noun clauses. So remember, a clause contains an idea. That's the idea of it. Now, verb clauses, if we look at this one, we've got verb clauses throughout. What's the verb in the green clause?
Is.
Is. Yeah. The verb to be. What's the verb in the blue clause?
Taught.
Taught. Remember the pronunciation, there's taught, like true or false, or my name, Paul. Yeah. So taught in the past. Okay. So verb clauses are the clauses which contain subjects and verbs, or it could be objects and verbs. It could be passive. So the word because is preceded by a verb clause, as in there's a verb clause before the word because, and there's a verb clause after because. So let me show you what I mean. Harry won the lottery because what?
He bought the lottery
He bought
Because he bought a ticket, yeah.
ticket.
bought a ticket. Okay. Okay, you could say that, or because he was lucky.
Mm.
Or you could say because he bought 100,000 tickets. Yeah. Okay. So because is in the middle. You've got two verb clauses. Harry won the lottery. There's our first one. There's our first clause. And then we've got he bought. Okay. So Harry won the lottery. First clause, main clause. It can stand alone. I just want to tell you why afterwards. And then he, who is he?
Harry
Harry
Harry. Where's the verb?
bought.
bought.
Bought. There it is. There is our verb. Okay, so that is a verb clause. This is a verb clause. This is a verb clause. Our cause, what did we say before? Did we say he loves fishing? Because he loves fishing. So green's going to be our cause. Sorry, let me get that. This one's blue. And this is the cause. So our causes are going to be in green. He bought 100,000 tickets. Okay. And as a result, he won the lottery. So result comes first, and then our cause comes next. Now, these are verb clauses, but you can also have a noun clause. So can anyone give me any conjunctions that show causes?
Due to. As a result.
As a due to I will accept. Okay, so
Resulting in.
No. Due to is going to go here. Owing to.
Yes.
Because of can go there.
Which is
As a result
Result.
of can go there. Now, why? Let me delete these ones. Why have I put
Followed by noun phrase.
followed by noun phrase? So this is the conjunction. This is verb or noun. And here is our example. Okay, so because is followed by verb phrase. I just did this example.
Yeah.
Harry won the lottery because he bought 100,000 tickets. We've got a verb there. Let me get this and into the middle. Let's format it so it looks a bit nicer. There we go. Okay, these ones are all going to be followed by noun. So verb clause for this one, noun clause for this one. So what's a noun clause? A noun clause is a clause which means a section of a sentence with an idea that doesn't have a verb at the beginning. It's got a noun instead. So earlier on in the course, we talked about noun phrases. Okay, a subject or an object in a sentence can have more than one word in it. A verb can also be a noun. What do we do with verbs when we convert them into nouns?
ing.
Gerund.
We add ing, we convert them into gerunds. Okay, so noun clause with gerunds, generally with gerunds. Doesn't have to be, but often. Doesn't have to be though. So I always give the same example. Our picnic. Oh no. Our picnic was cancelled. Why was it?
Due to rain.
Due to the weather. Yeah. Oh, there's no verb there, is there?
No.
Or
How about this? Tell me what you think about this sentence. Our picnic was cancelled because the weather.
No.
no, because of
Because of the.
Because of the
Because of the weather.
Mm.
Because of the weather. I suppose it could be, yeah, because of the weather. You've got that preposition of.
Yeah.
What are prepositions followed by?
Noun.
Noun.
Phrases.
What is because followed by?
verb phrase.
Verb phrase. So it's a rule. This is a rule that you can trust. It's not like one of those other rules like present perfect, where you think, oh my gosh, it changes all the time. It's a real rule. We've got a great phrase. You can hang your coat on this. Okay. It won't
You
go.
can trust.
You can trust it. Yeah. So our picnic was cancelled due to, there's our conjunction that shows the relationship between those two things. And this is just a noun phrase. But we've still got the same thing. We've got a cause at the beginning, sorry, a result at the beginning. We've got a cause at the end. We're focusing on the cause in this sentence. Our picnic was cancelled due to the weather. After the conjunction comes this cause. Oops. Okay. Now, what else can we do? We can also convert verbs into nouns. Now let's think about this. John had a cold. He missed work. Now, you know what happened. What was the result?
Missed
He missed work. Okay, and why did he miss work?
He had
Because of
a
cold.
Because he had a
Because of
cold.
cold.
Okay, now if I wanted to, I could do a really simple sentence and say, John missed work because he had a cold. That would be really easy. That's the way that all of us learn at the beginning. But we can make it more difficult than that. Perrine, have you got a question?
Yes, sir. Morning.
Hello.
I would like to ask if can we start with the conjunction before the main clause, or
Say that again, sorry.
can we start with the conjunction before the main clause, or
It is possible to do that. Yeah, it is
like, for
possible.
example, if you got the first one, because he bought.
It wouldn't be. Remember that they can come at the beginning of the sentence, but they would always come before this clause. They wouldn't come before this one.
Oh, yeah.
It would come before this one, but you can change the order of the sentence. We'll look at that in a minute. Yeah. Okay. So John had a cold. He missed work. Okay. Now, where's the verb in the first sentence?
Had.
And in the second one? Missed. Okay. Now, what if I started this? John missed work. Okay, there's a verb. But then I put due to. Now,
Having a cold.
Due to having a cold.
but you can just put a cold.
due to a cold.
Some people would do that. For me, it's not very good. Okay, due to having a cold. Yes. Now that works because having is a gerund, and a gerund is the noun form of a verb. Now you might say to yourself, why? Why don't they just say due to he had a cold? As I said on Friday, why does a tree grow like that? All right. There's no explanation. It's just happened over time. That's just the way it is. And you can shout. Have you ever heard of the story? Is it King Wenceslas, who he had his sword and he fought against the sea, and he stabbed his sword into the sea when the sea came in? There's no point. You can argue against it. You can say there's no point in this, but it doesn't matter. It's like feminine and masculine in Latin languages. In my mind, I think, what is the point in that? It just confuses me. Why can't it just be the moon instead of la? instead of, why can't, what's the difference if you say le moon or la luna or le lu? For me, it's silly from outside of French, Spanish, Italian, Romanian, possibly. For me, it makes no sense, but it doesn't change the fact that there are a billion people speaking Spanish who all use the feminine and masculine, and it's the same in English. We've got a variety of ways of doing them. We've got noun clauses, we've got verb clauses. Here we've got due to, having. That is technically a noun. Okay. Any
Paul.
questions at this?
Paul,
Yes.
you know, when we're writing the letter, we mentioned about the John underwent the operation due to appendicitis. Something we can do it, but why is which situation we can put the having?
You should really put due to having appendicitis.
That's also right.
That would be the best way to do it. That's the best way grammatically to do it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, but people do say he was admitted due to a heart attack. Yeah, they do. They just put conditions at the end. But if you think that that's the way to do it all the time, then you'll make errors in other situations. So it's good to know the full grammar. And I think Alan says the same thing as me. You've got to know the rules to break the rules. Okay, because you can break the rules. If you go through and read any classic English novel, they'll break the rules, but it's still very, very well written. All right, okay, so it's the same for all of these. Now I'm going to put something else. This is the extra box I did want to put an extra box. And it's for this word. Oh, following causes problems. We'll look at that in a minute. Okay, but these ones are the same. Now, can you think of any other conjunction phrases that use the word result?
Resulting.
Consequently,
No, using the word result.
oh, resulting.
Resulting in. And as a result.
As a result, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got as a
Starting.
result, resulting in, and as a result of. Those three do not have the same meaning.
Yeah.
As a result and resulting in are both about results. As a result of is about causes. So try and avoid the errors with that one as well. Okay, owing to is a strange one because it's got an ing, hasn't it? Now just imagine you put here, owing to. It would sound a bit strange, wouldn't it? Cherry, can you say this sentence for me? John missed work here.
Sorry, can you repeat it, Paul?
Yeah, just finish it. Just read that sentence for me.
John missed work owing to having a cold.
Feels weird, doesn't it? Owing to having. Owing
Yes.
to having. Now, owing to the weather doesn't sound too bad, does it? Owing to the weather, because you're not ing. But yeah, it sounds a bit strange for me. So I think from a style perspective, use owing to with nouns, just normal nouns, and use due to with that gerund noun. That would be my idea. So look at this whole clause. Having a cold, that was the cause. John missed work is the result. Same order. This is a clause. It was him who had a cold. Okay. Because of, as a result of, can go there. Now something else can happen as well. You could put a word here. That's the object pronoun. The object pronoun can go in there. Okay, so why? How does that happen? Okay, so you could say something like, what could we do? Okay, open heart surgery. Mr. What could we call them? Mr. James. Okay. Mr. Jameson. We'll call him Mr. Jameson. Okay. Why do you think he had open heart surgery?
Due to cardiac, due to the,
Cardiac arrest.
yeah.
Okay. So what would be the verb with that, Mr. Jameson?
Underwent.
Well, no, you don't undergo cardiac arrest. I'm talking about the
Sorry, no.
Having.
had
Has.
cardiac arrest. Now, okay, so you can say underwent. Okay, so Mr. Jameson underwent open heart surgery. Yeah, I love that verb.
Yeah.
As a result of,
Cardiac arrest.
well,
him.
having cardiac. Oops. Now, what normally happens here is you normally go into, have you heard that phrase before, to go into cardiac arrest? You ever heard that before, phrasal verb?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would it be? How would you turn go into? How would you put go into in that place? What would happen? To go into, that's a verb, isn't it? Go.
Go into it.
So we have to turn it into a noun. We have to turn it into the gerund.
Going.
Now, doesn't that sentence sound great? Mr. Jameson underwent open heart surgery as a result of him going into cardiac arrest. Wow. That works. You will see this sometimes. Now, you don't have to include it. You don't have to. It's optional, but it's really good if you do. Okay, so there's another option that you can do. And we'll see that throughout this week when we look at noun clauses. You'll see that this him can be inserted there before gerunds. You'll see that all week. Let's just talk about following very quickly, and then we'll put 10 minutes into the verb to be. What does following mean?
After.
It means after, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean because of. So for instance, I might say something like this. John had antibiotics following
chest infection.
Well, following his diagnosis of, what would you have antibiotics for? URTI.
Yes.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's the same as because. Is that true? Did he have antibiotics because?
No.
No.
It's true, but in this case, it doesn't mean that because he had, it's after the diagnosis he had antibiotics.
Yeah, in our minds, we're hearing this one happened first and this one happened second, so there must be a relationship. It says following, and it does lead to that. But what if I said this? I had chocolate cake following a steak.
Okay.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, nobody has the chocolate cake first and then a steak, do they?
No.
But does everyone who has steak have chocolate cake?
No.
You don't, do you? In this case, I didn't have chocolate cake because I had steak. But that doesn't make sense, does it? You can't say that. People don't have chocolate cake because they have steak. They don't have dessert because they have steak.
No.
Okay, I could say I had a walk following lunch.
Yeah.
Did I go for a walk because I had lunch?
No.
No.
I just did it afterwards, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So what can happen is people do put things that actually don't relate to each other in that way. So be careful with that. In this case, it just means after. Here, it's a suggestion of cause and result. So be careful. I think we'll see this. If people practice with following in their writing, you'll see in the next writing week that there will be some mistakes there. Okay, so just be careful with that one. Okay, something I want to talk about is the verb to be.
Paul, I'm sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you. You
It's
know,
fine.
he had there is a one sentence just because of, you know, if you go back the previous one, please.
Yeah.
The sentence here,
Which one?
a bit down.
The
You
cake
mentioned
one.
about the, yeah, is the following a diagnosis is wrong? It's okay.
No, it's fine.
Fine, okay, thank
It's
you.
fine,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
it's just a suggestion of the cause and the result. It's actually just saying John had antibiotics second. His diagnosis of URTI was first. It's not necessarily saying that there's a cause and result. Just like this one. Which one happened first? My lunch happened first. Which one happened second? A walk. But did I have a walk because I had lunch?
No.
No.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have one question. Diagnosis is a noun?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Diagnosis is diagnoses with a Z.
Usually I write down like the following or
Thank you.
diagnosis of the UTI. That's why I was wondering. That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the verb to be. This is going to be very good for us this week, guys, if we can understand this. Right at the beginning of this course, we talked about the verb to be and the things that it does, and we talked about it in the passive. Okay, it's used in auxiliary as an auxiliary. Okay, it's part of tenses. So am listening, was doing. Okay, so it's used in tenses, continuous tenses. It's used as a linking verb. Is beautiful. Okay, are amazing. Were strange. It's used in the passive. In what can we do? Are being washed. Okay, is sorry, what can we do? Was eaten. Used in the passive here. Okay, so what you've got to be careful about when it comes to noun clauses is the noun form of the verb to be. What's the noun form of the verb to be, guys? Being. That's what it is. Being. Okay, so this is the gerund. So if we put, and we'll look at this in more detail this week, if we put the passive after one of these guys here, remember, how do you make the passive? What's it made of? The verb to be.
To be.
Participle.
Past participle. Yeah. Okay. So we've got are, and you've got washed, you've got was, and eaten. So after this, okay, so let's, what are my examples here? Oops. Oh, I lost it. Okay, how about this? John Edwards, hospital, hit, bus. So we're going to have two forms of the passive here. Okay, now John Edwards was taken to hospital. How was he taken to hospital?
Because
By
he hit the
ambulance.
bus.
No, no.
As a
not why.
result of being
How?
hit.
How?
Ambulance.
By ambulance.
ambulance.
By an ambulance. Okay, that's why it's the passive. Okay, because it was an ambulance that took him there. He didn't drive there. He didn't walk there. He was taken to hospital. If I put here as a, as a result of, that has to be followed by a noun in the form of a gerund.
Okay.
Now it could.
As a result of hitting.
As a result of an accident.
Being hit.
Okay, so you've got the easy option.
Accident.
You've got that, or we could say a traffic accident if we wanted to. Oops, a traffic accident.
And
Why is that?
having an accident.
As a result of having an accident, yeah.
Being
Yeah.
hit.
Being eaten.
Oh, yeah, we're getting very close now. Now, you could say this as a result of having, if you wanted to put that gerund in there, but that makes it sound like he did it. And it is true that in some way he is responsible because he was there, he was on the road, he was on his bicycle. And you could say that. No, you wouldn't say having had. You don't need to do that.
Can we say
Or if you want, you can put it into the passive.
Yeah,
John
having had.
was taken to hospital
John was taken to hospital
as a result of being
hit by a bus.
By a bus.
Yeah. That happened to him, didn't it? The bus hit him. So you could say as a result of. Now, what if I wanted to keep it in the active? John was taken, and I wanted to focus on what the bus did. What did the bus do? Hit him. Okay, as a result of a bus
hitting him?
hitting him.
Yeah.
All of these are true. Okay, all of these are true. You've got passive in the first part. In this one, you've got an active second clause. He had an accident. John had an accident. In this one, you've got passive in the first clause as a result of being hit. It's called the passive gerund. It happened to him. And in this one, you've got John was taken to hospital as a result of a bus hitting him. Now it's active again. We're focusing on what the bus did. So here, it's what he did. Okay, here it's what happened to him. And here it's what the bus did. All three of them are accurate. All three of them make sense. They're not all the same. They're all different. But we could take this evidence here and say many different things about it. Okay, so what we'll do this week is tomorrow morning, we'll do a quick review on causes. We'll review this gerund thing again, and we'll bring in results. Okay, it's going to be a really useful week, guys. All right, so let's finish there. I'll see you at 3 p.m. All right, have a lovely day. See you then.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.